Welcome to the cello case. This is the very first video. I'm assuming that you have either purchased or rented an instrument from Austin Strings, and in order to help people get started, since we may not be able to do in-person lessons for a little while, we're playing around with these 360 videos, and a little nerve-wracking for me because it's not my forte. I prefer to have people in person, and so we'll see how this goes. So the first thing you need to do when you have a cello is to pick out your chair, the space that you're going to play in, and how you're going to set up your music stand. So I want to introduce you to the pointer. What you can do when you're watching this on YouTube is, as I point, swipe over, and then you'll see what I'm talking about. So there's lots of different kinds of chairs that cellists can play in. The most preferred is to have no arms, just because we're always moving our arms and it can get in the way of how you need to sit with your legs. So this chair over here is an old piano bench, and it works great. I love the height. If you look over here to this side, I have my cello chair that I take when I travel, and I put a little wedge pillow in there so that it makes me sit forward. My favorite chair for little kids is either a shower chair or a chair like this that will raise and lower. So the cool thing about it is that you can lower it way down, hi Pepper, or have it up. One of the most important things that's sitting at your cello is, if you think about your knees and your hips, if this was your knees and these were your hips, you want to have your hips above your knees and not below your knees. So the chair needs to be tall enough that you can kind of sit like this, and if you have your feet planted on the floor, that you can stand up without moving your feet. And it'll create good posture, and over time that'll help with the longevity of being able to play, because everything needs to be real relaxed in order to communicate well. So follow the pointer. There'll be times when I set a pointer, and then if you just swipe your finger, you'll see where I'm pointing. So let's do our first sit at your cello. The cello in my house I keep out in a stand. At your house you may not be able to do that. Depends upon if you have animals. We do have a dog, which you'll see she's probably sitting in here somewhere. But she doesn't bother the instrument. She's been very good about that. So let me give you a basic setup first. So with your right leg, you want to keep it lined up with your shoulder. Your left leg will be the one that angles in order for the cello to sit off to the left side of your head. So if we take it, and then we have some basic points of contact on the cello to your body. One of them is your knees and your shins, here being below your C bout. This little C looking bout right here is called the C bout, and you want your knees to be just below that. The other part of it is you want your knees to be below the top of the instrument. If you've got your knees sticking out, you're not going to be able to play all the way with your bow. It's going to hit your knee. The other one is right here, an anchor point here. The back of the neck basically goes to where a pocket would be on your shirt. And your C peg, the lowest peg, will be centered on your ear. So basically it's like this. Now, end pin length. There's lots of arguments. As you get farther along, you can figure that out and find what's most comfortable for you. I was set up by Phyllis Johnson at UT here in Austin, and she was taught as an ergonomic, like really relaxed way to play, and so I've stayed with that. I feel like over the years it's done me well. I don't have any joint problems or tendon issues, which is good. Keep your, and I know it's hard to see in the video, but you want to keep your fingerboard from being too curved one direction or the other. Mine is straight up, but I know the video can be a little bit distorted in that way. And if you find your video is distorted, find the view that shows not a lot of like warps and stuff in it. So there is our posture, and we've got our end pin set. Now take a deep breath, relax everything, and give your cello a hug. You want to make sure it feels comfortable. And this is something that doesn't happen right away, but over time you'll be like, oh, this is my position and this feels really good. You want it to be, a few inches off your shoulder, a few inches away from your ear. I tend to play kind of close to my ear because if I get it too far out, then my arm and shoulder start to ache. So I do play a little closer to my ear than some people do. And I do play quite high off my shoulder because I find that feels more comfortable for my arm motion to go all the way up and down the instrument. Now your music stand. So I want you to change your view, go to the pointer here, so change your view to the other side. Hopefully you got a book. We are giving out to anybody who purchases or buys an instrument from Austin Strings, you're getting a book either called the cello case or the viola case, violin case, which is a basic orientation up to first position. So let's turn the page, and you'll find on the very first page over here a table of contents for the book. So this gives you all the things that you'll do in the book, and I will reference these, and if you have a PDF of this, you can click on this and then it will take you right to that number. So if you're working on number 14, you can click on this in the PDF file and it will take you exactly to that page. So this very first page is for parents. This will tell you if your student is ready to play. If your child knows all of these concepts and can read these words, there's some concrete and non-concrete kind of concepts on this page. If your child knows all of these things, then yeah, they're pretty much ready to play a musical instrument. Now the next page is going to show you all the things that you're going to learn, and there's many more things to learn, but this page is what your music teacher already knows. And this is just like those simple concepts that you think about so easily on the first page. And then on the second page, this is all the stuff that you're going to get to know that will be easy for you to know as well. But we're going to start very first with a super simple pizzicato exercise. And I'm going to introduce the staff to you. So if you come over to the pointer and watch where I'm pointing. So the cello is called the violoncello. That's its formal name. We've shortened it to cello. Pizzicato is shortened to pizz. So if you see pizz in your music, that means you're going to pluck the string. And I'll show you the position for that in a moment. But let's look at this staff. So you have 5 horizontal lines. And then if you look throughout, you've got these little vertical lines. So the 5 horizontal lines are called the staff lines. These vertical lines are called the measure lines, and you'll see that in any music that you look at. So whether it's guitar music, violin music, whatever it is, you're going to see staff lines and measure lines. On cello, the first thing that we come to when you pretend it's like a book and you're reading left to right, you're going to come to this little half moon kind of old style cursive F with 2 dots. That's called the bass clef, and it is an F clef because those 2 dots surround the F line. Then the second thing you come to is 2 numbers. In this particular case, it's 4/4, and that means you have 4 quarter notes per measure. And these little black dots with the stem are quarter notes. So quarter notes, 1, 2, 3, 4. vertical measure line, then 4 quarter notes, vertical measure line. This is your beat. So we're going to have 4 quarter notes in each measure, and then we're going to learn these open strings on your cello. So let me introduce what the names of the strings are, and then I'll show you where they are on the cello, and you can spin your video back around. But the top line is A, the middle line is D, the bottom line is G, and the 2 ledger lines below the staff is your open C. Now flip your video back around to look at me, and let me show you where those are on your cello. So on your cello, with your left hand, the top line is this string, and this is called the A string. The middle line is the D string, so that's this string in the middle. Then the other middle is the bottom line, and that's the G string, and the 2 ledger lines below is called the C. And we are a C instrument, so we play in, so if you play in an orchestra and you ever hear them say B flat instruments, C instruments, the cello is a C instrument. So there's no transposition. This is a solid A440, and so on down the strings. Now let's learn what this word pizzicato is that you saw in the first word, on the page number 3. So pizzicato, take your right hand, say hello to me, put your thumb on the side of the fingerboard, and point your fingers to the bottom, to the bridge or to the floor. Let your fingers be relaxed, and you're going to pizzicato with the side of your finger, not the tip. And see what happens when I do the tip, then your wrist points up. You want this whole plane of your arm right here to be very flat. There's no raising of your wrist like this or collapsing the wrist like this. This will help all your nerves and your muscles connect and communicate all the way to the tip of your finger. It's a little easier to relax that way too, and this will help keep your wrist from getting any tendon issues as you get farther along in playing. So let's try this. So you're going to take the edge of your finger and just pull that string to the side. And you want it to sound like a bell, so it goes pong. You don't want it to sound like clunk, but then click your elbow down one, keep your playing. So you're here and then here, and pull the D strings to the side. Then the G string, lowest line of the staff, and lower your elbow again, and you have the C string. And that's your basic pizzicato position. So when you sit at your cello, set up your position, take a deep breath, give it a hug, set up your pizzicato, and then let's go ahead and play this first line of the pizzicato finger bells. Make sure your stand is set up so that when you're sitting, you can just look straight at the stand, and then you won't have to like hunch down. If you've got it set on a chair, it's not really good. If you can have your eyesight and your stand be right in the same plane, that's a good way to set up your music stand. If you flip this around, you'll kind of see that the music stand that I have is right in front of me. So let's try that first line. So there's 4 A's, 4 D's, 4 G's, 4 C's, and then another set of C's. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to count you in. 1, 2, ready, play. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now C's again. 2, 3, 4. Now if you I'm going to play it again, but I'm going to point to each one, and we're going to say the name of the notes. So here we go again. Ready, go. 1, A, 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 D, 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 G, 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 C, 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 C. Now I'm going to pause for just a minute, but we're going to follow our eye. This is just like when you read, you go left to right, then you go down and go left to right. Music is the same reading. So you see that bass clef again, and then we see some G's. So let's do that second line. Ready, and G, 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 D, 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 A, 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 A. Then we come to a funny little 2 dots and a vertical line that's like different than the other measure lines. This is called a repeat sign. So if you want to go back, you can repeat it as many times as you need to. Anytime you see repeat signs, this throws you back to the beginning. This one will throw you back to here. And then if you look at the second part of this line, we only have 2 A's, then 2 D's, 2 G's, 2 C's, and so on. Then we have 1 of each in that set. Then 2 that mix them all up. So we have A's and C's and D's and G's. This is going to get you really solid at reading your open string notes. By the time you get done with this page, I don't want you to second guess yourself at all. So if you're like, what was that note again? Then you need to keep practicing on this page. The idea is that you're going to get your music learning the same as if you see the word cat, you don't hesitate, you know how to say it, you know how to spell it, you know what it looks like. And music is the same way. We're going to get you to that place where you see an A on your staff, you know exactly where that is on your cello and you immediately go to it. It's in your head, the neurons are connected, you have learned your open strings. So spend some time on this page. It may seem, oh, like this is too easy, this is too easy. But I get students that if you don't get that foundation of the open strings, then first finger and fourth finger and all of those other fingers don't fall into place as easily. So please spend some good time on this page and really get it in your long-term memory. Make sure when you get up the next day to practice that you can just, and once you get it and you follow through and you don't hesitate on anything, then you've got it. Now, we are done with this practice session, so I want you to go ahead. I don't know if you're swiped toward the music or toward me, but either way, it doesn't matter because you can swipe in any direction at any time. So we're going to put our cello away. So, first thing you do, take your end pin. Always put your end pin in when you're putting your cello away. I would recommend if you live in a family and you have little brothers and sisters or dogs or cats that might jump on your instrument, that you put it away in the case and then stand it somewhere either in a closet or a corner where you know it won't be bothered by anything. I have a dog that doesn't bother my instruments, and so I will go ahead when I'm at home and I just put my cello in a holder. Your bow, and we aren't going to do bows for a little while, so the only thing I want you to think about on your bow is don't leave it in a soft case. You want to take it out of the soft case. Totally fine to leave your bow sitting. I usually set mine along the piano keys here, and that's completely fine. We'll talk about bow care in a little while. With your cello, though, if you put it down on its side, never drag it on carpet. You'll rub your varnish off, and you don't want to rub your varnish off. I would also wash your hands before you play. The fingerboard can get goopy from just we have skin with oil in it, and that's what keeps our skin kind of soft. The oil will build up on your fingerboard, so it's a good idea to just kind of wash your hands before you play. Practice time, super important if you can do it every day. Some people fall in love with these instruments and they can't wait to play. Some people have to be pushed. But I've never heard anyone that regrets learning how to play, so give yourself some time and some space to play. Make sure if it's something you really enjoy and you can't wait doing, you may want to do it first thing in the morning. If it's something you don't like to do and practice isn't your most favorite thing to do, just give yourself a few minutes and pretend that it's play. I find with my little kids, sometimes if they set up their stuffed animals and they're doing a concert, then it's like becomes more fun, or if their parents will listen or do it with them. If it's a supportive atmosphere, it's much easier to learn an instrument. Let's see, we did safety, practice time. And if you can leave your instrument out, I find that for me, if my instrument's out and my stand is set up with the music that I'm playing, I'll tend to come by every day and play through my little notes that I'm learning or whatever I'm working on. So good luck with your first little bit of playing. Spend some good time with it, and